Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about Legacies, episode 206, titled That's Nothing I Had to Remember, which premiered Thursday, November 21st, 2019 on the CW. I am recording November 23rd, so roughly under 48 hours since the episode has aired. So huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other video reminders are up on screen. Take a moment to remind yourselves of those. I will say that I did watch one other reaction video before recording this, so it's not my initial reaction, but at this point I honestly forget what their reaction was, except like the physical reaction of it. But just a heads up. A special YouTube shout out going into Maria Lira. Once again, thank you so much for your comments and your own insight in the episode. Truly appreciate it. I'll get to commenting once this video is up and uploaded for you all to see. So I'm going to try to do this in 30 minutes. I really hope I do it less than that, but let's start the clock and let's begin with what happened in this episode. So the episode quote, "There's nothing I had to remember." I honestly don't remember who said it until I looked up online, and it was said by Landon, so I'm thinking he said it to Josie during that whole dock scene between them when he was telling her that she needs a little time to sort things out with the new memories and everything. So I think that's when he said it, because in the context of the quote, I think it says nothing I had to remember in regards to her selflessness. I think. I hope I'm right. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments down below, or if you agree. That helps too. Timeline-wise, it's been a week since Sheriff Mack asked Alaric out. I think that happened in 204. I think. And that's where she got stood up. The correct episode would be up on screen. So it's been a week since 204 or a week since 205. I'm not sure. But this episode does celebrate the festivities around Commonwealth Day. So there's that episode. A reminder, though, is the fact that we get the memories of Hope Michelson returning to everybody. That's something there. I do, though, have the question of whether or not it's in the surrounding area of Mystic Falls that it's the memories associated with Malivore have returned, or if it's anybody that Hope has come into contact with, like the people in New Orleans, or maybe the rest of her family members as well. But I will talk about that later on. So there's that. The feature creature of the episode is the Croatoan creature, and then also the history behind the Roanoke colony in this. It's very different to the supernatural version of Croatoan. As you know from Supernatural, it's pretty much referencing, well, they both reference the sudden disappearance of the Roanoke colony, but the source behind it is very different. Supernatural is based off of a demonic virus that pretty much wiped out a whole town or had them possessed and disappear. For this one, it's an actual creature that went after liars. And since everybody lies every now and again, that pretty much would constitute it wiping out a whole colony back in the day. So there's that. And we get a little bit more history about the creature itself from Sebastian after he gets his Malivore memories back, which I will mention a little bit more in characters. So there's that. Episode storyline or breakdown, if you will. 3 different storylines. First one, multiple Malivore monsters. Second one, restoring Malivore memories. And the third one, Mystic Tap murders. So there's that. Mystic Tap, I'm wondering whatever happened in the Mystic Grill. Did they go out of business and then the tap came in, or is the tap a rival to the grill? Who knows? But that's just a side comment there. But the first storyline with the multiple Malivore monsters, this pretty much deals with the Croatoan creature from Malivore and the zombie that was created by the red cloak people with the carving of the Malivore symbol into the zombie. This is also revealed through the monsters that Sebastian's time before his desiccation was revealed to be the tie-in to the Croatoan creature's last encounter, I guess you could say, because I guess once he went to Malivore, the source behind his desiccation was erased. I'll talk about a little bit more about that when we go into Sebastian later on. For the second storyline with the restoration of Malivore memories, this features Josie traveling to New Orleans to enlist Freya Michelson's help in reverse engineering that black magic purge spell that got Lizzie her memories back. And Josie found out because Lizzie wrote the whole thing in her diary, and since Josie can see it through Penelope's recording diary, that's how she found out. So that's a little continuity there. Mystic Tap murders for the third storyline. This is between Sheriff Mack interrogating Alaric about all of it, going really into his past, bringing up some unnecessary tea there. But we do see the whole monsters are real speech happening for Sheriff Mack, only to have them compelled away by Caleb. I will talk about that later on in questions, but I guess you can see where the question is going to go. Last scene of the episode shows Ethan jogging into the cemetery, and then the Malivore monster kind of like following him or being in the same area at the same time before going to a red cloak being to gain access to the eyes inside of the school, which is the zombie left one of its eyeballs in place, and now it's alive and acting like a security camera, which is just creepy as hell. So there's that. Characters, let's move into that. So Ethan Mack, we do have him seen with a cast on his arm due to the events of 203, I believe, between the latest football game. Yeah, 203. 203. Otherwise, correct one will be up on screen. And we find out that he's attending physical therapy. He also kind of let Hope know that if she wanted to hang out with him, all she had to do was just ask him out. Kind of like putting it out there as well. Also, with his jog at the cemetery, we do not know whether or not he was attacked or if he just missed the zombie, or if maybe he's connected as the Red Hood creature, Red Cloak being. We don't know, but there's that. Now with Sebastian, as I mentioned before, we find out that his former love was Cassandra and that she created the Croatoan creature. I don't know if she created or if she called upon the Croatoan creature in order to protect Sebastian from the village that was hunting him down as a monster. So instead, to protect him, she desiccated him for his protection, and then the Croatoan creature kind of slaughtered the village and Cassandra as well. And with the memories, that's how Sebastian was able to let them know, because he, as desiccated, he saw what was happening. So there's that. Kim, we see, which is Caleb's sister. We find out that she's coming to visit for the Commonwealth festivities. She's a history nerd, and she's not leaving until she sees a little bit of Hogwarts magic going on at the Salvatore School. So there's that. She's really helpful in the whole research aspect of the episode, for sure. Then we have Raphael. He acknowledges with his memories of restored that he owns up to his feelings for Hope, and he tells her that they can't hang out anymore out of respect for Landon. And that is just heartbreaking right there. I mean, it's admirable of him to want to take a step back in honor of... Hold on. Sorry, I got called away to do grocery loading. So Raphael. So what I was saying was the fact that it was very commendable for him to own up to his feelings. I am heartbroken of the fact that he has to distance himself away from Hope because of the fact that he has feelings for her and doesn't want to cross that line in respect for Landon as well. But then at the same time, it's like Landon is now having to decide between Hope and Josie. So it's like Hope needs someone in her corner. And I feel like she had viewed Raph as a best friend before the whole feelings thing happened. So yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see about that. And then there's Wade, or that AV student. I hope I got his name right. We find out that, according to Sebastian, he is still alive. He didn't feed on him to death, but he wasn't in the episode. So at least we'll have to wait and see, in hopes of Wade making another return. So tidbits now. Let's start with the fact that we got a name dropped mention of Mayor Matt Donovan, which is why Sheriff Mack has taken over in his place. We also got the implied call that Josie made to her mom, Caroline. I kind of wish we got to see both of them, but I know why. But it's very clever how they would put those mentions in there. Also, there was mentions of Freya's wife, Keelan, as well as their son, Nick, baby Nick, after Freya's brother, Niklaus. And Hope's father. There's that. We also have Lizzie finding out that Sebastian isn't an hallucination and that everybody can see him now. So there was that one. We also find out that Landon asked Josie for some time to process his restored memories and feelings for Hope, like I mentioned before, which makes sense. I can't blame the guy for doing that, because like he still wants to figure out if he still has those feelings, or if like they interfere with what he has with Josie, and like he wants to make peace with it first before moving forward. So there's that one. Again, as I mentioned before, Ethan put it out there for Hope that if she wanted to hang out, all she had to do was ask him out. Simple as that. He was also called a muggle by Lizzie when she was teasing with Hope about his attempt to kind of signal to her that she can ask him out. So there's that. Also, Hope also admitted to Raphael that she's technically single. don't know if that's the technicality is the fact that she's still in love with Landon, but she can't be with him, or if that's the case or not. And then also we have Hope admitting to Lizzie that she had a crush on Hope when she was 14 that lasted a week when they were trying to get rid of the Croatoan creature. Hang on. Rule of advice: if you're ever going to record, do it at home when everybody's asleep if you don't want interruptions. To be fair, I had the house to myself and everyone just returned home now. So bad timing on my part. But moving on, most shocking moment of the episode would have to be the change in Sebastian after he recovered his Malivore memories. I definitely wasn't expecting that shift, but I can understand why there was such a shift when you know what he's originally coming from, and then those memories erased, and then you get a huge shift. If that makes sense whatsoever. It's kind of like the only way I can have a comparison to it is when Elijah had his whole identity erased from him, and you can just see that shift of him becoming a different person because he wasn't bogged down by all those memories. So I guess it's kind of similar to that, because with everybody else who had their Malivore, I don't know if it's because, I don't know, everyone else who had their Malivore memories coming and going, I mean, there wasn't that much of a behavioral shift because they didn't know what they were forgetting, or not as much of a huge shift like it is with Sebastian from the looks of it. I hope that makes sense, but that was a shocker for me. But let's move on to top 3 favorite moments. The first one has to be the fact that we got to see Freya Michelson once again. I love the fact that we find out that her and Keelan have a baby boy named Nick. I love the fact that Freya was able to reunite with Hope at the very end. I would have been so pissed if they did not have that moment together and it was just Josie they got to interact with Freya. So I was like, the whole time when it was like counting down to the final moments of the episode, it's like, okay, where's Freya? Freya has to see Hope. There has to be that reunion. I was waiting for it, and I was so glad when they got that. It was just very emotional, and like you can see that Hope was just waiting for someone to finally just welcome her back, because essentially the only other person who has welcomed her back in such a fashion was Lizzie during the dance when she gave her her hug, saying like, if you tell anyone, I'll deny this, but I'm really glad you're back, like that moment. So the fact that we got someone else to, because then also Raphael approached her, and instead of saying like, I'm glad you're back and everything, but instead he says, I remember my feelings for you and we can't be around each other. That's like the opposite of what she needed to hear. And then Landon, he got angry with her instead of like saying you're back, which understandably so. I get why he'd be angry, but at the same time though, Hope made a huge sacrifice, which I will talk about later, but she made a huge sacrifice not knowing if she would ever return to anybody. So I was just really happy that Hope finally got that reunion that she needed. So there's that. Also the fact that we got to see photos of Davina, of Camille, of Jackson, of Josh, and of Hope, and on that wall, and just remembering all the characters that we've lost in the originals, and then Hope being added to it. But then I was a little sad that we don't get a picture of Haley or Klaus of Elijah, because essentially it's their version of a memorial wall. So it's just like, I kind of wish I got little tidbits of that in there somehow. But it was very great to see Freya back in this capacity. I kind of wish that we got to see her sooner, instead of like it being like 6 months, or I'm gonna say maybe 5 months since Hope has been gone, and like all she did was like have photos of someone that she has no memory of, and then like I don't know from her angle what she tried to do to get answers about that, but then to know that when Josie brought it up, it was like her trigger point to bring her back in. But yeah, I kind of wish that Freya came in sooner, but I can understand with actor restraints that like sometimes timing won't allow it, but I'm glad we did get her eventually. So there's that. Another favorite I did have was between Hope and Lizzie, just the bonding between each other, their little confessional session to try to get rid of the Croatoan creature. Particularly, the thing that will boggle people down is when Hope tells Lizzie about her crush on Hope. She says it when like, I had a crush on Lizzie for a week when we were 14. That can imply that they're the same age when they're not. Hope is at least 2 years older. They are just under 2 years older than the twins. Hope's birthday is on May 2nd, 2012. And Lizzie and Josie's birthday is on March 15th, 2014. So when Hope had a crush on Josie when she was 14, that means Josie would have been 12. Yeah, had been 12, maybe 13. Depending on the timing of when that week happened. So I just wanted to clear that up, because the way that Hope said it implies the fact that they were the same age when they're not. So there's that. Also, it opens up the question of whether or not does this kind of make Hope canon as a bisexual? Does it make her canon as a pansexual, which we know that Josie is? So it's very interesting that they did open up that door with Hope's confession, because with Josie's confession, we already knew that she swung both ways. But with Hope, we only know her with Landon and with Roman. So it was this crush for a week does open some doors. So I'm really glad to see that. But I did want to clarify the fact that when she said we were 14, they are not the same age. So there's that. Another favorite I did have was between Hope and Ethan. Their cute little moment working on the Commonwealth festivities. It was just so cute. The fact that he just put it out there is like, if you wanted to hang out, all you have to do is ask me out. And then her is just like, her not deflecting that or denying that and just being kind of like, wow, he said that type of thing. That was so cute. And it was just like I like the banter between them for sure. And then their response to each other is just great. So I hope we see more of that. I kind of secretly still think that he is a werewolf or an untriggered werewolf or maybe a brand new werewolf. And if he is, I really hope he joins into Hope's own wolf pack and like become a family that way. Still hoping that Raphael would become a part of her wolf pack too. But yeah, there's that. Bonus favorite though was when Lizzie had to babysit Landon. She kind of teased the Hope that all she had to do was just bring up Star Wars and Landon would be good, like he would be taken care of type thing. And then she actually does that. She asks Landon his thoughts about the Ewoks, and then she just like, you can see like she doesn't want to ask this, and then it just cuts away to him making a sandwich and continuing his extensive explanation as to why what he thought about the Ewoks. And then Lizzie just beside him, and she's like, oh my god, I can't believe I asked this, or I can't believe I had to endure this conversation. And it was just funny to see that huge difference, and the fact that the cutaway kind of shows the fact that it's been going on for a long time. So that's just entertaining there. But let's move on to top 3 peeve moments. One peeve I did have, and I think I did mention it though, was the fact that Raphael walked away from Hope. I mean, I understand why he did it. He didn't want to complicate things. He didn't want to disrespect the fact that he remembers Hope to be Landon's girl and everything, in that Landon tried to do everything to save him, so out of respect he's going to stay away from Hope. Like, I understand that, I completely do, but then also at the same time, he's also her friend, and like at a time where she just found out that everybody remembers her and no one is coming to say like welcome back or like to welcome her back in, he's saying like he can't be around her and walk away. It sends the wrong message. And like on the one hand, I respect how he wants to keep that distance, but at the same time it's like, you could have at least said like, I'm glad you're back, and kind of like be there for her as a friend and kind of like give her the support that she hasn't had for the last few weeks since she's returned. And he knows that she can help him as a werewolf to make sense of what he's going through. So I truly think that he is Hope's best friend, and to have him walk away the way he did, I get it on an emotional standpoint, but then again, it's just the timing felt wrong, especially when she feels like she's going to be losing everything when it comes to Landon picking Josie over her now that he remembers. So it was just, that was a peeve right there for sure. But what else? Yeah, that's pretty much the only peeve I can think of at the moment. It's just that one really stood out for me. So there's that. But let's move on to random questions very quickly. First one, in New Orleans, when Josie blasted Freya with the black magic purge spell, I'm assuming that Freya is the only one in New Orleans who has her memories back of Hope, unless that whole wave of black magic purge that Josie did on the Croatoan creature expanded farther than Mystic Falls and affected everybody around the world, which I don't think that's the case, because I don't think Josie is powerful enough to do so. So I'm wondering if Freya would use the spell on her own remaining family members to have them remember Hope again, or if they're going to get Josie to do it, or if maybe they were affected by the black magic wave or something. But at this point, I'm thinking only Freya remembers out of the Michelson family. But yeah, otherwise, it would have been so sweet if all the Michelsons were there to give Hope that hug at the very end that Freya gave her. It's just like, I wish. I have to go to fan fiction to find that, maybe, hopefully. So there's that. Another question. Do you believe Caleb really compelled Sheriff Mack to forget the supernatural secret? Or do you think she's secretly immune, kind of like how Joe Laughlin was when a Lark tried to compel her, and she was immune because she was a witch? So that is something there. If that's the case, if she happens to be immune, then the only reasons would be that she's on Vervain or she's a supernatural herself. And if she is, that might confirm my theory that she's a werewolf, like maybe her son, possibly her daughter. Another reason to further complete them into the supernatural fold. So there's that. And the last question I did have was that, does Hope's confession about her little crush on Josie, I did mention it more earlier, does that mean anything more going forward? I did mention that because I know labels aren't really necessary, but it does help you distinguish whether certain pairings could actually legit become canon or not. Because I know people ship people who aren't canonically supposed to be with each other, but then sometimes if they can be canonically, then it's like it goes haywire and furthers the ship even more. So I'm wondering if that's the possibility we're going to get with Hope, because pretty much you can ship anybody with Hope and it would be like a grand old time. I mean, I still ship her with Roman whenever they're on screen together, so it just really depends who she interacts with is who I'm shipping her with. So there's that. But let's move on to predictions very quickly. Based off the promo for 207, it is returning December 5th, so we do get a week hiatus due to the American Thanksgiving that's happening next week. But it seems that it's going to return with a heavy focus on the love triangle between Hope, Landon, and Josie, and we're actually going to get 2 Landons for some reason. So there's that. Whether it's a creature impersonating Landon, we don't know if it's actually Landon split into 2 different versions of himself. Who knows? But we'll wait and see and find out about that. The synopsis for the episode reads that after deciding that leaving town will be for the best, Hope gets pulled back in after Josie comes up with a risky plan to close the Malivore portal. Elsewhere, Alaric and Dorian make an alarming discovery about Professor Artemis, while Raphael learns some upsetting news about Landon's future. Lizzie also appears. So, Landon's future, I'm wondering if that has to do with him being a phoenix. Professor Artemis, I hope it's them finding out that he's Agent Ryan Clark. The risky plan to close up the portal, I'm pretty sure it's going to have to deal with a bunch of dark magic. But I think Josie, the whole wave that she did in this episode, I think she's still using that weird hourglass thing Artemis had given her. So I really hope the black magic thing comes back to bite her in the butt, because you do not go down that dark path without any consequences. Otherwise, you're really going to go dark side. But very interesting to see how this will go. But otherwise, that is pretty much it, guys. What do you guys think of this episode? What do you guys like about it? What do you think will happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your thoughts, theories, and predictions about all of that. Also, don't forget to like this video and share, and to subscribe. Really can't remember if I just said that or not. Also, if you want to check out my Tumblr page, link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, GIFs, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. Go check that out. I am behind because of school, so just keep in mind of that. Also, WordPress account link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to WordPress. A little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress once again. Again, behind because of school, but I do have a whole bunch of list of things I have to update on the site. So hopefully, once the winter semester comes, or once the winter break comes, or maybe in between my bouts of assignments being due, we can work on some updates there. But otherwise, guys, that is pretty much it. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back next time to see what I have to say about the next episode. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, a great week wherever you are. Be safe. And the timer is reading right now, just for the sake of it, is that I had less than 7.5 minutes left. So that's good. So maybe I'll aim for 25 minutes next time. So anyways, bye for now, guys.